Good evening, everyone. So it's nice of you to come over here and to participate in this program.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, it's a small program. It's not very, and it's all about art. Most of you may not be having any knowledge about art or so, but still, I think you can just participate. Even if you don't know, you can ask questions and the like in the later stage. And this is all about about our space. Our space is called as Kodialguthu Center for Art and Culture. Since 5 or more years, we are here organizing different programs on art and culture, at the same time heritage. And in this Kodialguthu Center, we have, we are working, there are individuals here, and individuals do work collectively. Okay. So this collective and all these programs, what we conduct is a collective program. And this collective is known as Art Kannada Trust. We are 6 members have started this collective. And we are working together in a way. There is we were in the sense we are architects, artists, designers, then writers. At the same time, sculptors for that matter. Okay, and we are all in a way closely work together in several aspects of our culture. On the one side, we do archiving about archiving our history, history of Mangalore particularly. On the one side, on the other side, digging deep into our culture here and history of art. So this is all about. This exhibition is all about our digging into our history of art of this part of the region. This part in the sense, Dakshina Kannada, Udupi, then Kasaragod. Yeah, Kasaragod and Coorg. Why Kasaragod means, though Kasaragod is in Kerala and Kasaragod is closely connected with the Mangalore culture, that is a part of Tulunadu, okay, where Tulu is spoken predominantly. So that's the reason. Coorg, because Coorg is a part of Mangalore University. Okay, that's the reason we have added Coorg. And we have got only one artist from Coorg, no? Yeah. So otherwise, from Kasaragod, how many artists?
3-4 artists.
3-4 artists we have got, and Udupi and Mangalore mainly, and there are 34 artists. Okay, and these 34 artists, it's like their journey started in the year the first Pavanje. Yeah. So he was born in 1866 and died in 1945. So we have collected from those days. He was the Pavanje was the one person who from here, this part of the land, the first person to go to UK is the NG Pavanje, his son, so his father. So he was the first person to go and study in JJ School of Art, okay, in 1880s. Okay. Then he also taught there at JJ School of Art. That's one interesting thing what we got. Along with that, his son was known as NG Pavanje. In his name, we have a chair in Mangalore University. That's called NG Pavanje Chair for Art and Arts. And NG Pavanje is one of the most important artists for us. Like this is one of his works. And he again studied in JJ School of Art, then went on to do his masters from Germany in printmaking. There's another area of art, and most of the people do not have any knowledge about printmaking. and he was the first one to go from all of, I think all of Karnataka to study there and come back, and he started his, this art practice in Mysore then, later on. So that's the thing what we got while studying about digging deep into this art scene of Mangalore. And we even most of us artists also do not have any knowledge of that. So that's the reason we thought of coming up with an exhibition, collecting works from each of at least one of these one work of these artists, and at the same time we wanted to come up with a book which will help the future generations, particularly the fine art students and other students, whoever are interested in the art. And we have got it in Kannada. That is because Kannada is spoken and read predominantly in this part of the region. And I think in Karnataka this is what in a way it was required, and it's the first of a kind book which is coming up in all over India about a regional art. So we all know about the art of Bengal because it's been written already, and the Bombay art scene also we know because of the written material, whereas we don't have much of this historical evidences of our own art because there is no written material about that. And this is one small effort from our side what we wanted to contribute to this art scene of local art scene.
They want you to be louder.
Louder?
Yes.
Come close. Okay, anyway. So that's what. Now we have our friend Sudesh Mahan here. At the same time, Dr. Kallura is here. He is from university, and the university has helped us to helped us to come up with this initiative, or they have initiated this, and we have worked on that. So in a way, it is good for us to connect with the university, Mangalore University is one of the well-known universities all over India. At the same time, it's also very interesting to work with this and contribute something to the name of the university. So that's what we wanted to do, and yeah, so that way Dr. Kallura is represented by our university. On the other side, Mr. Sudesh Mahan is a well-known artist, and he's a friend of ours. He is born in Mangalore, and he is also part of the art movement in Mangalore, but he moved away to Bangalore. That's what. So yeah. So we have some questions and to Sudesh Mahan and Dr. Kallura, and they can answer about that. And I think you need to answer a very important question. This Adunika Kalege Karavaliya Kodugenu. What are the contributions of this coastal Karnataka to the modern art life? So there are eminent artists like Hebbar is there, and N.G. Pavanje is there, and Shanai. Not he is there. Yeah.
Couple of
yeah. So all these great, well-known artists of India, they have contributed something, and I think we will listen to you.
Okay. Thank you, Nemiraj. I was born and brought up here in Mangalore. I did my education here in St. Aloysius. I did my degree here. And then I got involved in theatre, and then we were not very serious about academics, honestly. And my parents didn't think I would do much in life. They just given up on me because I had many supplementaries to pass my BCom. and I didn't want to join BCom. But then during my days, all my uncles, cousins, they're all in BCom. They do BCom, they go to bank. They do BSc, they go to a bank. They do BA, they go to a bank still. So the bank job was the in thing. So becoming an artist was a hobby. So while I said I want to become an artist, my mother said, your father is an artist. One artist is enough. We have seen the struggle, not one more artist. So my mother was against me becoming an artist from a very young age. She didn't want to see the same struggle her husband went through. So I was denied the opportunity to go to art school or something like that. So I had to do my BCom and I hardly went to college, you know. So my lecturers used to come home asking my dad, has he left college? No, he hasn't left college. He just doesn't come to college, because I used to go sit in the libraries, read books, or I go to films, watch films. And whenever I had time, I used to paint. And the whole area of interest was very different. So art was not considered a material that which you can have a life of your own. You cannot earn money. You know, when I tell people I'm an artist, they ask me, what do you do for a living then? Because they think you can't have a living being an artist. And it was very true. Even today, I believe almost more than 60 to 70% of the artists, you know, they have it as a hobby. It is not a full-time thing. You know, you can't paint, do shows, sell your works and earn a living. And if you have family, it's still difficult, because you have a wife, you have kids, you need more money. So you have to sell more paintings or your works. So making it a full-time profession is difficult. I'm giving you a premise because though I was in Mangalore, the reason I moved to Bangalore is because there was no market for art in Mangalore. There was no support system in Mangalore for art. So I had to go to Bangalore, I had to do theatre, I did art direction for films, then I was a theme designer for corporates. I did a lot of stuff which was in and around art, you know, not essentially art. So till the year 2000, I worked for themes in Miss World, then I did SAC festivals, I used to do stages, I used to do floats. So I did all that. In 2000 I came back to art. So it is like, you know, you have done all these things, you create some economic base for yourself. So when you have still little money in the bank, you come back to painting again. That's how I came back. So in between, a little writing here was there. But then, coming back to the question of what is the contribution of coastal artists to contemporary art, I think it's very little. And we have a lot of artists here, honestly. No ill feelings to any of the artists or the art fraternity who have done a lot in the name of art. See, people believe art is a very subjective thing. People believe that what they do is art, and I respect it. But while we speak about contemporary art, art field had moved on from photographic realism to surrealistic, cubist, you know. Then art field internationally had moved on, you know. But in Mangalore, it was still, you know, very conservative. The field was very conservative, except Hebar and Shadai to me, and to a certain extent Ramdas Adhyantaya, who was in Kawa. The rest of the art, however technically equipped or craft-wise very strong, in terms of expression was not really contemporary per se. That it didn't become an expression of their, you know, life. Like a writer writes a book, you know, an artist should be able to speak about his experiences. If I paint a boat on the shore or I paint a landscape, it is something I am, you know, creating, which I watch and create. But while you speak about your life, like a writer writes about his own life, his experiences, an artist should be able to express his ideas and thoughts like a writer, you know. That is when art moves from photographic realism, it moves into a stylized space of his own, where he expresses his feelings in his own way, using forms, colors, lines, or, you know, it may be sculpture, it might be printmaking. Doesn't matter, you know, what media you do it, mixed media. You can do it in any way. But you express, you try to tell something to the people who are coming to watch your, you know, work. That is a slice of your life you're giving them. People who come and watch it, some people will understand it. Some people will ask, what is it? I mean, there are questions asked, because art audience have not given training in their school days. Now you people have a lot of curriculum. Maybe today you have a curriculum saying how to appreciate that, or what is aesthetics, you know, and how to read a painting. Maybe there are curriculum, but in my days or those days, or even after that, it was not there. So the art that was produced in South Canada, basically, it was largely at the max a stylized version of, you know, craft. There was great craft. You know, most of the artists were great craftsmen. Now the question now will come is, what is the difference between great craft and art? You know, where do you draw the line? You know, there are great craftsmen, very beautiful, and there are great artists. But there is a difference. You know, craft basically relies on symmetry. You know, and that symmetry is abundant in craft. So while in South Canada, the most of the works were produced were largely recreations of what people see, what people watch. Those type of art was there. The first time I was in awe with South Canada artist, well, I saw Hebbar. You know, Hebbar was, again, Hebbar could do this because he went out of South Canada. He went to JJ. You know, most of these artists have gone out and flowered because there was no ambience or a school of thought or a art school which could, you know, give this base. You know, so we have these artists like Hebbar, Shanai again. He was yeah, okay.
Actually, what happens over here, like most of these artists who were born here in the villages, because we never had any experience of art, or we never knew what was art in those days. Okay, then we had to explore. We had something in our own mind. Where to explore? We didn't know where to explore and all. I think you might have gone to Bangalore to explore. At the same time, in those days, you imagine that artists like people like N.G. Pavanje or the Pavanje family members, they went on to go to this Bombay and studied there, and some of them have come back. Whoever come back, no, because there is no space here to grow, because there was no space, okay, in those days. I think that is the reason I think K.K. Hebbar had to stay back in Bombay, and work there. He has become one of the internationally known artists and one of the most important artists of India. Okay, that's probably because he stayed back over there. And Shanai came back from Bombay after studying. Shanai means G.S. Shanai is well known as G.S. Shanai, because we call him Shanai, and Hebbar, K.K. Hebbar, Kattingeri Krishna Hebbar. At the same time, G.S. Shanai is from Udupi, Gokuldas Shanai. Yeah. Now what happened to him is like he came back to Udupi. Then he worked for some time, but he thought it doesn't work. So that he had to move to Bangalore, and he had to spread this art, or spread this thing. So he contributed something to the art of Karnataka. At the same time, Hebbar contributed to the art of. So, but on the other side, this is a small place. Yeah, of course we agree with that.
Okay. It's not a small place.
Yeah. But there has to happen something, because it is in a way, it is our generation.
I'm happy they are doing something, and I would like to contribute.
Small way we can start with. That's what we are doing. Yeah. And he was earlier involved. Your father, J. Chandrasekhar, come up with a school of art in those days called Ajanta School of Art. Ajanta Kalavidaru. I think our Daya sir also knows about that.
Yeah.
So he is one of the most senior artists over here. Okay, and we want to know that most of us are not very well aware of the contributions of Ajanta School. At the same time, what the thought process of Ajanta School, because they all studied under V.G. Mohammed. you are supposed to be one of the most popular of the artists in this region. I think most of you must have heard about it.
Right.
Recently we had a very big event, 100 years of first centenary was there, held here in town hall. Okay, last week only.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of our artists are students, and I think
My father is a student
of
BGM.
BG Mohammed.
Not my father's student, but my father was a student of BGM. Yeah, BG Mohammed. Initially, he took me also to BGM. I spent a few months in BGM. But my dad realized that that was a limited thing. BGM, the school of thought of art, was good. See, I wouldn't say why did people come back and then go back. Yes, and I came, tried to do something, and he again went back to Bangalore because we had a slightly conservative thought process when it came to art. We believed that writers can write anything they want, but artists have to do something which is very pleasing, very nice. If you draw an elephant, we should say, oh, he really looks like an elephant. That is appreciation, such detail. That is the type of appreciation that was there then. But then the expression, when you see something, you have to paint your experience. What did you feel? Art is basically, the strength of art is the experience and the emotion, not the thinking. Analysis can go, but how did you feel the elephant? You can today there are wonderful photographers, wonderful cameras, which can capture an elephant in such detail that an artist can, will find it difficult to do. So an artist's ability to understand a subject is very different. He has to tell the people how did he feel.
Ajanta's contribution.
Yeah.
The thought process of Ajanta
Here, this is what happened. While my father realized this, while he was in BGM, then he came out, he created an art school. So he started with his own students. He was teaching and practicing high school, initially at Town Hall, then in Jail Road. He was an art teacher there. So students used to come to become teachers there. Some of these teachers had a special talent for art. And the first of the students I remember was Mohan Sona. So once Mohan Sona coming, they planned to start a small space. We didn't have a space. So what I and my dad did is, we attached a small room to our house. We called it Ajanta Kalavidur, and we attached a small. There's a bedroom, then we attached. We built it ourselves. I and my father, with the help of a mason, we literally built the space. So initially a few students used to come. Then as time went by, the students started growing, because my dad honestly was, he was in the same mold as BGM school, he could see and draw. But then he had this ability to, work very fast. Over a period of time, as he worked, he had a good hand for illustration, memory drawing and everything. So he used to teach this thing people came. And as years went by, from his own school where he used to teach, the students started bringing other students. For example, they started bringing somebody in their own Sulya. From Sulya, somebody has come to become a teacher in practicing high school. He used to go and tell, in my own village, there is this person who does very well, can I bring him? So there are a lot of people from the villages, because all these people who came to learn teacher's training were all from remote places. From Sulya, Vitla, Puttur. Like Purushottam is from, one of my dad's students, Purushottam is from Puttur. Then there was
Bulimale is supposed to be the
not Bilimale, there is one more, MS Purushottam. Bilimale is a writer, MS Purushottam. Then there was Suhas Krishnajayavan, who was from Mulki. These are all, interested in art.
And Kaje family.
Kaje and Nalini Kaje, Shobha Kaje. They were all, again, they were from Kerala, but they had come to Mangalore to become teachers. So all these people started developing interest in art, and they started learning under my dad. So all these remote areas, it's like from word from mouth, started connecting each other. And I was a boy at that time, And I used to watch all these people come and do work. They used to do still life, and my dad used to train them for art examinations, because then they used to get this, some increment or something like that was there. So my dad used to train them, Kala Pratama, Kala Madhyama, Kala Prauda, and Kala Nipuna. It was a 4-year course. Then there was another course called Art Master course, drawing master, TM, AM. These people used to come for these courses, and some of them developed an interest in art and started taking art seriously. So slowly we had a core group called Ajanta Kalavidar. And some of the names I can remember, like Suhaskasta Jivan, Shivadkar, Nalini Kaje, Shobha Kaje, and MG Kaje. And there was one guy called Ravi Shankar, Gopadkar, Tirtharam Vallambe, Mohan Sona. Okay. This was a core group. And after that, there were others who have come. So my dad had a lot of students, dad had this ability to identify talent and nurture them to a certain extent. And after that, Sona was very good. So it didn't happen very consciously, this Ajanta Kalavidar. Okay. It was more of a informal, development which happened.
No, actually, I am an odd person here, being an academician or economist.
He is more into like
I could see that art is a kind of expression. As these people sharing their experience as artists, I could make it out. It's a sense. For every great artist, there must be some sharp, narrow, and very powerful character to express it. That is, I think, what is coming up. And in most of the arts in Dakshina Kannada region, I could see that many arts have regained their lost impetus, except fine art. That is very slow in its style. Whereas you say Yakshagana has regained its glory. And I think most of the time, historically, if you see this particular art as a form of expression, had a kind of what you call Rajashraya in the olden days. Except in those kingdoms or in the palaces, I think outside society it was seldom. But now the change in political structure from the federal system to the democratic system, all arts have adjusted to the market mechanism. Even Yakshagana has now adjusted to market mechanism, or drama adjusted to its market mechanism, but not this one. I think to some extent, because of the requirement of the demand from the corporate side and the technological base, except that to the general common society, demand of the common society has declined still. So when I see this from demand supply side, being an economist, there are many people to supply this, but the demand from general society is very less, but the demand from corporate world is increased because of the technological and competitive environment. Moreover, I could see even in primary schools, the cultural forms have gained a new platform now. The competitions, inter-class competitions, inter-school competitions, and add-on courses on different arts, but very less in painting or fine arts. Very less among the school. So you see classical music, any kind of music you see, they are very much encouraged at the school level. Dance, the parents are going behind children to take them to good teacher and make them good dancer. And all kind of such arts have encouraged even by the parents, but very less encouragement for fine arts, painting. We start our life with painting only. Our academic life starts with crayons and watercolors, so that the kid will keep quiet there. If you give some color pencils, color materials to scribble, but we never improve it to develop. We just use it only to keep away for doing our work, to keep away from the disturbance of the kid. That is from the beginning it has to now I think revive and we should in this kind of environment, we should really feel great of these artists who have, without any social encouragement or environment where they could flourish, they have taken struggle to come out. So I appreciate all. I could see a senior artist there. I respect all the artists here and express my gratitude and respect.
Thank you, sir. Now,
one more thing,
Yeah.
that I could see that many of the art gatherings, two things I noticed here. One, in many of the art form, when we have this type of gathering, youngsters gathering is very less, but here I could see a lot of youngsters are there. Can I take it as an encouragement to this art?
Yeah.
And we appreciate your participation. In many of the art forms, youngsters' participation is declining, but I could see here that some youngsters are
thanks to
participating.
Roshni Nilaya.
Yeah. Okay. I think most of you are from Roshni.
Yeah.
Fine. The college where I
So she
started
is the
my
one
career.
who got them, Vinita.
Okay. Fine.
yeah.
Fine.
And some from art colleges also
Yeah.
there.
Another thing that I like
Malasa.
is the way that you arrange these discussions, very casual, very informal, which I liked more.
Thank
So
you.
two things that I liked: youngsters' participation and informal discussion without having any much formalities. It will not have any effect on the discussions, but this will be more effective, more what you call humanly with the touch. I think people will
thank you, sir.
communicate very easily.
Yeah. Now, we generally talk about art of Mumbai, Delhi or Bangalore, because all these are, mega cities, and there are a lot of things do happen every day and every moment. Okay, the market is there, big market is there, corporates are helping them out in buying art and all those things. Okay, that's fine, but there is a small village called Sonangeri. Okay, Sonangeri is near Sulya. Sulya is while going
To Mysore. on
yeah,
the way to
going
It's
to
around 4
Mysore.
kilometers from Sulya.
Yeah. It's a small, very small village. I think in 1993 they first started with this. Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I'm
it
not
is-
good with
yeah,
dates.
yeah. 1993. Yeah. He is the one who wrote this book. He knows better than us.
Somebody who said.
And from 1993 to 1998, in the Sonangeri was so active, and it was like a place for experimentation, a prayogashala. Okay, and artists from all over Karnataka as well as all over India came
All
there,
over
and
Karnataka, India less, but
yeah.
you can say all over Karnataka.
all over Karnataka came there and stayed in in homes.
Yeah.
Okay, in the homes, in the sense, they took, they became the guests of
That house.
each houses in the village.
As per their dad,
Yeah.
they moved to a particular house.
Yeah. Then they worked. They stayed for a week and worked there. And then it was not only art. There was also theatre programs. So there, great
programs,
theatre.
Music.
Yeah, artists like B.V. Karan, then Prasanna. So they all came and stayed there, and they interacted with the villagers at the same time with the other artists, and made a kind of very big, very different kind of created a very different atmosphere over there. That was one of the most interesting thing happened here in this part of the part of the country. So Sudesh Mahan was involved, closely involved, because his friend and teacher,
My teacher.
Mohan Sona, he has already spoken about him. He was there, and he is no more now. So he created that space and I think you would give some better idea about what happened over there.
I'll give you a brief about it.
Yeah, yeah.
It was called Biological. He had this creative idea. This idea was very, very much ahead of its time. You know, if we have done it now, maybe it would have a bigger success or maybe a sustain. But this idea happened at that time. I mean, he wanted, it was, Sonagiri is a small village. 40 families participated in this experiment. So it was a very creative experiment. Maybe, according to me, one of the most creative experiments on all over country. Nobody has done such a one. There are artist villages created for artists to stay and work. But the people involving the families into a creative process was very, very different. Sona got this idea and he talked to all the families. And everybody agreed. Imagine, it's difficult to find a village where all families will say, okay, welcome. An artist will come stay in your house for 1 week, create a painting and leave it in the house. And this, not one artist, a family, brought many artists. Like today one artist will come, do a painting and leave it. Tomorrow after some time another artist will come, stay there, eat their food, talk to them. These artists were like guests who became friends to those families. And in a matter of 2-3 years, each house living hall was a gallery. Can you believe it? It was a beautiful thing. And the whole, the differences between the families in the villages vanished. There were no more fences. All the 40 families, the whole village was an art gallery. If a person wants to see all the painting, he has to go to each house, they'll give you refreshments, drink it, talk to them. They will talk about their experiences with the artist. The artist has, it was a, not only an artistic experience, it was also a human experience, where ordinary people appreciated art and artists, took care of them. And theatre people came in, Prasanna was there, Karantu was there. It was very well appreciated, First year was a big success, while Karantu was there, Prasanna was there. There are still murals, paintings done in those days in the houses there. Second year, and it went on for a few years, but they couldn't sustain it. But, yeah.
I was also part of that. The first year I was there.
Yeah, first year was a great success.
Yeah, it was a great experience for all of us, all the artists. And yeah, actually now what is missing is like the documentation part is missing.
We have not documented it.
So
nobody documented.
Yeah, we have done things. We have been doing things, but documentation part, writing books and all these are missing. Then our question is like, what has to be done in future to build up our art scene? Because unless you document, unless you write on this, I think it doesn't remain, because we forget things.
Yeah, I have to tell you one thing. Largely, to my experience, very good artists are rarely smart.
Doesn't matter, because there are others who can write.
They do not think of documentation.
Yeah.
They didn't think about all these things. The fact of doing, an idea comes to your mind. It's like doing a painting. Creating this process, getting on with the idea, the journey of the idea, experiencing the idea. There's so much fascination in doing this idea real. So Biological was a successful project, successful experiment to a large extent, but poorly documented and unable to sustain because no money came in. 25,000 came from Kannada Samskriti Ilake. That is the only money that came in.
In those days?
Those days, 25,000.
Okay.
And expenses were more than $1 lakh. People pooled in personal money. But how long can you do that?
They did it.
They did it.
You have something to say about this, how to go with the, yeah.
I think because as
Sudesh
said, artists are not finding any time or interest over to preserve it or something like that. They keep on creatively doing work. I think educational institutions should, or what you call art administrators, should think of this, preserving it and documenting it and see that it is passed to next generation. the experiences of artists. So I think we have a big role, universities or colleges have a big role to play in documenting this and identifying people who can write this and preserve it for next generation, pass it on to next generation. So that is the one way that writing is one. Second is that perhaps many of the productions of artists that has to be preserved. Perhaps that would motivate a lot. I still remember during my primary school, I had a drawing teacher. Now I think there is no that post in primary schools.
No.
Drawing teacher was there for the school. And once in a week, he used to come to one class. 1 hour drawing class for me. Now there is no that drawing class, moral education class, all these things have vanished. We are so much fast in getting into technology and the competitive world. So the artistic, that's why I said the artistic sense should begin from the beginning in the primary schools. Then only we will find a space within us. So we school teachers or maybe the colleges have to do something for help them out to preserve this so that this passes to the next generation. They don't find it, they don't give importance for preserving it because they are busy in creating work. Once the creation is done, then it is the job of the disseminators or the documenters that we should take interest.
That itself is a job.
Yeah, that is our job. Dissemination of knowledge. See, knowledge creators are creating knowledge. They never involve in disseminating it to others. So we have to disseminate it to others. So they express their experiences in the form of art, in the form of literary works. But that has to be published, that has to be preserved, that has to be documented and passed on to the next generation by educational institutions. I think the role of educational institution in this regard is very high.
Yeah, that way we had a seminar in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, with
The Pavanjay chair.
Pavanjay chair.
Then Ravi Shankar was
Yeah.
director.
It was one of the most successful seminars, and we have got writers from all over, and who wrote about that, who submitted their papers in that seminar, and it was, I think, a 3-day program. It was a very interesting program what we made. By then, this Art Kannada Trust was not formed. Okay, but it happened from here only. Kodialguthu Art Center only. Everything is happening. And Roshni Nilaya we conducted that seminar. Okay, that's what our connection with Roshni. Okay, and in that seminar we have, documented some of these papers and the like. We have got that still to publish those papers. Okay, but the thing is that we need more publications in this regard, and we need help from. We also have approached Lalit Kala Academy, Karnataka Lalit Kala Academy. Then Lalit Kala Academy helped us in doing that seminar because it was Karnataka related, no. Whereas this time they didn't support us because it is yours, no. So it is yours. Nimdu Dakshina Kannada alva, Karavali Nakella.
We don't have an art university.
As we
need an art university.
We have art university, but Kannada university is,
I'm not speaking of art schools or we need art university who can help artists promote their art, sell their art, catalog their art.
No, that is anyway. That is galleries are there.
No.
I think galleries do sell their artist works and all.
No.
It's a commercial.
There is a university for music.
Yeah.
There is a university for literature. Another high.
Yeah.
But there is no
University
for art. I think that can be.
And I'll tell you why. The problem with a gallery system is galleries are private, mostly. And they largely promote artists who deem to sell. They sell artists, don't sell art. For me, there is no system which identifies a good popular artist can do bad art. A non-popular artist can do good art. How do you identify? Not if a great writer doesn't write all great books. He has some poor books in his closet, I still remember Anantapurti wrote Bharatipura. Chittal called it Chintane Garajininda Bandiddu. It's from a conscious mind. So there are artists, writers who create masterpieces and there are weaker works. Same way there are unpopular artists who create great art. But then he's not identified because the galleries are interested in the artists, not in the art. An artist is promoted through galleries. We don't have a system which is objectively, see, art is subjective, I understand. People like different types of art. But still, you need to have a system which can help the upcoming artists in some way. So I think an art university will do a great job because depending completely on the gallery system is taking us nowhere. I stopped going to the galleries 10 years back. I had my problems. I stopped. I said I'm not giving. Because you promote artists, you don't promote art.
Okay, now...
So from Pavanjay, Chair of Fine Arts from Mangalore University, based on the discussions that we had, I will just make a proposal and submit to the university.
That would be wonderful.
To make a project in sense, documentation, publication. The idea of starting with the art university.
Kind of a museum.
What kind of things? To think of this, to make a committee of artists and art thinkers, so that we can just frame this idea and the proposal can be sent to
that would be a wonderful
of India. And I will suggest this to Vice Chancellor and Registrar by writing.
Because we don't have yesterday I was talking to Nemiraj. I told him there are artists who have come from Mangalore, South Canara and become big artists, gone out. Now you want to bring them back to Mangalore, you need a space which can exhibit their works with decent lighting and facilities. We don't have such a space. I still remember William tried to create a gallery in Mangalore. It didn't work and finally he lost a lot of money and then he closed down the gallery. I also had come, I had given 2-3 paintings. It was a group show.
It's natural because...
And also inauguration time, Krishna Shetty sir mentioned the Anchan, LP Anchan sir's work. There is a lot of works in his house. They wants to give it to such places there if they are displaying because university can take these kind of
sheet works.
definitely.
LP Anchan did a lot of
actually we
works.
don't have a space, otherwise we would have taken and we need a kind of museum for this the artists who are no more.
That also I will suggest in the proposal to see that all those artworks in Dakshina Kannada and Andhra including.
Actually, in Mangalore, what is missing is, as rightly Sudesh Mahan has said, artist center is not there. The artist center which has equipped a space for a display of work of any kind. Now, as the art field has gone into a very different level. So, suppose if you say we from Mangalore we have lot many artists like Sudesh Shetty or maybe for that matter Kannur is there. Suppose if our people wants to see the work of big thought as the direction of thought, experimentation, the experience. So that kind of a work should come here and get displayed so that the people can get that experience and they start realizing the level of thinking which has gone so high. And so also for that reason we need a space to display such a big work, as well as a space where a library is there where the contribution what artist Kanara has done so to display this kind of book so that the other field, maybe like various other field students who are interested to know about art, so they can come and read and have their knowledge about it. A space where a miniature hall is there where we can call these artists and have a talk. Okay, so
Anil Devadiga is an artist and he came from Bombay to Mangalore. Okay, he studied in Bombay, Mangalore. Now he teaches at Nitte University's
architecture. I think this space is very much important for Mangalore. The people of various field liking towards art can come and understand and have their knowledge about it.
So our question is Munde, so we can have a kind of discussion about what next can
So
be done.
also we heard, sir, this university, this Mahalasa College and the Adwas College, they were affiliated earlier to university. So now they are slowly shifting this to Hampi University. Like they were about to start their fine arts wing at university. But if it could have been started, then definitely that movement, there will be like how Bangalore University, the same way, Mangalore University is one of the oldest university of Karnataka. So
No, but I would prefer that if you create an art university, it has to be slightly autonomous, so that we don't get bundled up with the other university, because all the other things take a lot of importance. And slowly this won't get importance. Bangalore University, the same thing has happened.
No.
I have some friends
No,
who
these
teach there.
kind of traditional universities where you start a Department of Fine Arts, the priority by the authorities should be that will be very less compared to, because they have to run the whole university giving more focus on more
Academics.
dynamic
Right,
courses, which mobilizes revenue, which
Yeah, yeah.
mobilizes.
Actually in Kairagad they have this music and art university.
fine arts, yeah.
So I think there's only one university.
Their printmaking is too good, sir. Like how the artists are coming from that Kairagad University. They are wonderful artists. It's a government funded.
Yeah, it can be government funded, but it has to be separate, I'm saying.
It's a separate.
So that there is focus and attention is given to it. Otherwise we get lost.
Because when you mix it with so many other things, the priority matters.
That's true.
This priority goes to engineering.
Priority goes to MBA or
MBA.
MScom or maybe
And the student strength, obviously. The fine arts wing always get like 15-20 students per section in a year.
There is no job for fine arts.
There is a
Fine
job.
artist.
Tell me how many of you earn your living through selling painting?
But one thing is there.
if it
Today
is
if you
exclusively a fine art university, as sir suggested, there is no such priorities. Priorities for fine art.
It is art.
No, likewise in Karnataka, Hampi University, basically that idea came and they started. But the problem with the political this thing, it couldn't survive properly. Now it is there. 48
Because-
colleges are there, sir.
I'll tell you why. The bureaucracy and the political class also doesn't have aesthetic reading.
Exactly.
They are uneducated when it comes to aesthetics. Now, I have this problem. I have been in Karwar for the last 4 years. I have been struggling with IAS people. Just because he has finished IAS doesn't mean he has aesthetics. He has cultural roots. Nothing. I mean, they're nascent. They're so ignorant about art and...
But they have 25% of learning, studies when they give the exams of art and cultural programs only. They should understand.
He memorized
Yeah.
and passed. How do I know?
is there anything from your side?
Any questions?
I
Yeah.
have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm not an artist, so
Doesn't
I
matter.
don't I do paint, but then okay. The question basically is, how do you learn as an artist? I get it because I write, so I can describe this painting, I can learn new vocabulary. But as an artist, as a painter, how do you learn? How do you learn from your previous paintings? Like, does it depend on like somebody else's painting that you get inspired from? Like, how does it work as a painter? Painters might know, so anybody.
See, you can learn the craft. There is a way to learn the craft. I'll tell you how I developed. I didn't go to any college to learn art. My dad was a drawing teacher. I'll give you by example, my experience. My dad used to teach, when I was a small boy, 12 years old, he used to give me decorative drawings. He does the left. He asked me to do the right. So, that's how it is. Because, decorative drawings is all about symmetry. So I used to do. Then we moved on to still life. Life drawing, memory drawing, or life sketching. You go to a bus stand, sit there, you see people, you start sketching. With increased focus, observation. So you can learn the craft. And if you are interested and if your observation is keen and your focus is good, you can always get things right. Actually it is not how exactly you recopy what you see. It is how much of the spirit of the action you catch, the force, the impact you have. Certain things impress you. You know, I'll tell you why. While I did my first show, all the works I painted were from my childhood. You won't believe. And that how many years later? About 20 years later, in 2000. And those experiences are from around 75 or 78. Those were the experiences. I'll tell you why. There was how artists come back with their life experiences. We were talking about drawing what you see and what you paint for experience. I'll tell you a small incident in my childhood. There was a old lady. I used to come to my grandfather's firewood depot. You know, I sit in a cash mine. And there was an old lady, completely bent. You know, her back was completely bent, almost L-shaped. She couldn't stand straight. She couldn't see, watch. This lady used to have a dog with her, okay? And while she moved, the dog used to pass from between the stick and her leg. It used to rotate, okay? And the lady couldn't move forward. And the lady used to curse the dog for almost 2-3 minutes. And then the dog will stop. Then we'll move. After she goes there, again the dog will start. And this lady was so, she couldn't see, even the sunlight would hurt her. She was very old, and I feel even she couldn't see the sunlight, you know, the eyes, I couldn't see her eyes. She was so old. She had this ragged dress. So many safety pins all over her garments. Because she was so old, she used to use safety pins everywhere. And I used to, as a little boy, I watched. I did 2 paintings on her in my series called Birds Within. It's called Old Woman and the Birds. And I'll tell you one, the birds used to come and sit on her shoulders. And she couldn't feel it. The skin was so dead. The crows used to come, birds used to come, sit and then fly away. When she realizes something in front of her, the flutter of the wings, she could realize, oh, birds are there. Then she should again curse the birds, abuse the birds, abuse the dog. She was so fed up with the society and the life because nobody cared for her. My grandfather used to give some food for her. I did 2 paintings. One is called The Old Woman and the Birds and The Old Woman and the Dog. It's part of I'm saying, I learned the craft. My dad taught me the craft, and my Monsona, my guru, because of whom I am an artist today. I owe a lot to him. He gave me an understanding that art is more than just craft. So how to, see, watch and think. So as an artist, if you want to become an artist, you need to have the passion to use the language, the visual language, to tell what you have to say. I gave you an example because it is from my life. It's from my journey about this lady. There are many works from theatre and all I have done. So you express your life experiences, the emotion behind it, the feelings you have. So if you want to be an artist, you graduate from the craft you have learned to the expression part.
So Anil will give some ideas about your work. Third question.
Basically, as visual language is required, we need to understand the grammar of it first very nicely, as like we get into school to understand English language. So we start with A, B, C, D and all. We start with making lines and sentences, paragraphs, poetry, then start. Okay? And then we also, after that, we try to play with our thought, and then the playing comes into your poetry or maybe. And then again you start with experimentation and all those things. So that is how you grow. So there are steps, there are ladders which happen. So directly we cannot start. So you have to understand A, B, C, D, as said, the syllabus of art college, what it has, or not that, then you have to learn by yourself, like you need to get into a training basically. Now this training should be like understanding the canvas, understanding the brush, understanding the material, understanding what happens when you try to paint, understanding what happens in your thought when you try to paint, and then later on you try to understand what you are and what is your activity. And then again, then the expression, the field of expression starts, and then you try to discover your own way of direction of seeing. This act of seeing is very important. Because of this act of seeing, I think we got a gravitational force. Newton saw that apple falling. No, everybody used to see, but he directed it to a gravitational force. So like that, that act of seeing is very important, as in what direction you see a field of art as a field of expression. And a field of direction, and you show that direction to the people. This is also a direction of seeing an art. So for that, you need to go step by step, training yourself with, and I would rather say getting into a process. Before that, you need to train yourself, and then you get into a process, and then you create things. It should not be as like the word called as different. I want to do different is a very bullshit word. Rather, you try to evolve yourself to create things. The creation should happen, and in this due process is very important. You arrive at some point which becomes an art body. You don't try to create a product, rather you try to arrive from your thought and get into a into a product, into an art body, which becomes the expression of your ideas or your thoughts or your concept. So that is how it has to be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from any side? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you can ask.
Yes, Ashwin.
To understand it better, we should have questions.
Yes.
Questioning is very important. You might be wrong, but still question. Don't be right. Then having a question, any doubt you have, is very important for the society to grow.
Yes. Ashwin, Robin.
Okay, our question remains, what next? So what can be done in the future to grow, or to, it is not studying art or something, it is like we are actually trying to build up a community over here. So who have an interest in art, who can react to art or connect to art. So it need not be only visual art. It can be music. Now we have a music program here by Ustad Rafiq Khan. So you can attend that, and also you can also discuss with him. And that's also one thing. We also are interested in theatre, literature.
I think all these things have a common ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because end of it, no, it's basically the core of it is like the creative.
It's all the same.
Okay, that is within you.
Right.
So it can be visual, it can be verbal, it can be, anything for that matter. So that is what we are trying to build up here. So what next to be done? What next? Sir, ನೀವು ಏನಾದರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಇರೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ರಿ. ಬೇಡ.
No. Any ideas how to develop, the aesthetic space in Mangalore? How do we help grow? How can we do it better? Mangalore has been commercially very successful in many things, but artistically very poor for a long time. I'm sorry to say, but
no, this space is in fact open to anyone who wants
and
to come
I'm
over.
happy that Art Kannada and there's an initiative which these people have developed. Artists coming together is very difficult. Basically, they're individuals, but I am happy that they come together, they form the movement, and they are working hard to build a creative space in Mangalore.
So ನೀವು ಏನಾದರೂ ಫೈನಲ್
Yeah,
ಮತ್ತೆ
that is
ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸುವ.
what, no, from the
Yeah.
university or college side, you can just, I will just send a proposal to our authorities, how best we can do this, to think about this, all artists can be put together once and we can have a discussion And we have, our university is having a center in
Yeah.
here in the Hampankata University College that can be developed as a good center because
Yeah.
in the center of
Centrally located.
The old building.
yeah. So one way is just call or invite artists and art thinkers to see that how this can be continued and how it can improve. Second is how university can take initiation in all affiliated colleges to start with a platform. And how university itself can start a center of art in college. And how university or authorities can help to send a message to the government to start with the initiative to think about establishing an art university. So these 4 points that what I have in mind, I will, in writing, I will communicate it to the authorities. So later we will see what we can do.
That would be a wonderful thing
Yeah.
for us and for all of us.
I have a small suggestion. If you want it to really happen faster than how it is going now, you have to create a larger than life event around which you can tie this up. An event
No, we
will
have
be
already,
remembered like
in
Ballalbagh.
Mangalore we have already done with the last week with the PG Mohammad's centenary. That was
No, I am not speaking such a thing. That is individual based.
Yeah.
I am saying art is the center of this event. You have to bring in people from all over the place, bring them, make them do art, which will beautify the city. For example, you have city centers, circles. Those centers will not be, uglified by the stupid fountains and sculptures which they are putting up today in Mangalore. You need to put up artistic elements on all these centers, every circle. There are so many circles, so many centers.
There are a lot of meetings happens around
No,
that.
Even,
let them give it to artists.
even for that matter, like Kadri Park, the opposite side, Deer Park, was supposed to have was having a plan of galleries and art center, but now it is been occupied with some disco dance, lighting and
That is what I am telling you.
and it has
The
become a
university-
space for a
University
couple.
people can help us convince these bureaucratic and politicians who have no knowledge about what they are doing, educate them and tell them these circles should be given to artists so that the artists who are creative will create one sculpture or an element, something in each place. There's so many artists in South Canada who can do a wonderful job, to create things.
Even university people, we academicians can see the importance of this and we can imagine and plan and design but convincing bureaucrats and
That's true.
No, but if that doesn't if that doesn't happen, we are in very bad shape in the long run.
Yeah.
Because
it needs different effort.
Because what the city is crowded is with the aesthetics of the bureaucrats and the politicians, not the aesthetics of the university people or academicians or the artists. So where do we go? So we need to pull the strings.
Okay, anyway, we are not concluding here because it's just a beginning in a way. And we need to go a long way in Mangalore. And we are grateful to our guests here.
No, it's just that I'm happy to contribute in whatever way possible.
We are in fact not guests, we are
We are part of
Part
the
of
system.
this. Then wonderful. There is no other way. I think.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vande.
Yeah. So there is just an informal gathering as you all came and spent some time.
But I next
We hope-
time, more questions please. Only
Yeah.
one question. I'm very disappointed.
It doesn't mean it's maybe wrong. It's fine.
No, I'm just challenging them.
Yes, yes.
Tricking
We're
them.
understanding more.
One
Anyway.
question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you convince people who are not interested in art that art is important? Or should we even convince them art is important or not?
Yeah, that is the greatest art we have to do now. Convincing people.
See,
who
it's,
doesn't-
what I feel is like important, unimportant, that is a secondary, because parents won't allow you to study art because they don't see any future prospectus in art. But on the other side, if you are an artist, you have multiple other scopes. Being in the field as a designer, as an architect, because as a filmmaker, or as for that matter as anything, because art is a base for it. It's like cycling or swimming. Okay, you have to learn that. Art is also like that. So if you want to get into design field or architecture field, or if you want to see something very different, okay, then you need to have this basic. This very
Or
basic
you
thing.
could spread awareness, you could go to colleges, you could say enlighten the young mind and say this is also an option. Like you would say, okay, why don't you visit our gallery? Or probably we could give you certain sessions, why don't you try your hand? So, students could be interested.
So Mangalore doesn't had a permanent kind of a gallery earlier. Now we have here, so people can come in and see the works, and they can
Even if you want to give a talk in Roshni Nilaya, it can happen.
That's true.
Our students may come.
Yeah, we are very happy for your gatherings here, and I thank Kalluraya sir, Sudesh sir, and Nemiraj sir for this wonderful evening moment. Thanks, sir. And we have snacks here.
We have snacks and tea, coffee or something.
Thank you very
So
much.
please do have.
You are teaching which subject?
And we will go for a music program. Now I ask Rajendra Kedikeji to give a small moment to Sudesh Mahan.
I'll come on.
I was teaching there, rural development.
Thank you. And also I request Anil Devadi to give a small token of gift to Kalluraya sir.
Yes, in town.
A small token.
You want to join them?
Sir,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Please have a small
So thank
snacks
you
and
for being here.
My